Hello everyone, my name is ClickFlow and welcome back to another episode of the Minecraft Thrive Guide. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. I'm having a pretty good one. Today we're starting off back here at the farmhouse, and as you can see we have our gold farm and iron farm off in the distance. And I've been doing a little bit of thinking about what we should do in this next episode, and just looking through some of my storage, things are starting to get pretty full. As you can see, we are kind of maxing out with all of our storage. And if you remember in the beginning, one of the first couple episodes when we built this, I said that this was only going to be a temporary setup, and we were not going to use this permanently. And I think it is time to finally make good on that promise. I think we are going to start on our end game base. We're going to start working today on a castle. Yes, I am super excited about it. I have this project planned for making a castle and like a village town around it off in the west. The west over there, there's a nice plains biome with a couple of already generated villages and such that we can convert into like the lower town and such. And so I think we in this episode for today, I think we are going to take some blocks and go and lay out the foundations for some of the buildings that we are going to be putting up for our castle. And for that, I have been doing a lot of mining on streams, on and off camera, for as much Blackstone as I could find. And I wanted to do this for a number of reasons. Number one, I think castles generically are stone, and they're made of gray and like stone bricks and made of cobblestone and such. And although I do like that, I think I wanted to do something a little bit more unique. And Blackstone has a really cool color palette, and it is one of the fresh blocks added to the 1.16 update for the Nether update, and I'm just excited to build with it in general. And I think a black kind of evil looking castle will look pretty good as our endgame base. And I don't want it to necessarily be an evil castle or anything like that, but I do kind of want to build with this the black color palette. And but anyway, we're not going to be building with just Blackstone. I'm going to take all of this Blackstone, as much of it as I can carry in my inventory, and then we are going to convert it into first polished Blackstone, as much as we can get, and then we are going to convert all of that polished Blackstone into polished Blackstone bricks. And maybe not necessarily all of it, because the polished Blackstone does look pretty good by itself, but we can also make some polished Blackstone bricks, and I personally really like the color of the polished Blackstone bricks. And the polished Blackstone by itself looks pretty good, but in combination with the polished Blackstone bricks, I think they look pretty good. So we'll probably leave some of them as just the polished Blackstone as like highlight blocks, and I think that will turn out really well. So maybe we'll do that much for the Blackstone and that much for the polished Blackstone. Anyway, I'm going to do this for all the rest of this Blackstone that I have. As you can see, we have quite a bit, but this will not get us very far in the kind of scale that I want to build. But after I get this all converted, I will meet you guys over there in the western area by the build site for the castle. And we can start laying the foundations for our soon-to-be Blackstone castle. Welcome back, folks, and here it is. So our little farmhouse is just off over there. You can see the Guardian farm in the render distance still, so we're not too far off. And we're on the top of this little hill over here. It's kind of like a mountain. It's about the same height as all the other extreme hills around us. But as you can see, there's quite a flat expanse here with a village right there and a village right there. And I think in the fullness of time we're going to remodel both of these villages and maybe even extend them in like a semicircle, like a half dome around like that, and that can be like the lower town of the castle. And so I want the castle to kind of encompass this entire like half circle area, as well as on top of this mountain. I think we'll put like a tower or something up here. We'll put like a great hall over there by that by the end of that little hill, and then we'll put some like barracks and armory and such other things that are commonplace among fortifications like castles and such. So let me fly down here really quick, because we'll probably be spending most of our time here, and I'm going to throw down my ender chest and set up a little base of operations. First thing, we're probably going to be spending quite a bit of time here, so I'm going to throw down a crafting table and a bed just in case, and then I'm going to throw down all of our Blackstone in these shulker boxes here. And I'm even going to grab this one because it has a little bit of Blackstone. So we have 3 shulker boxes full of Blackstone and then a little bit left over to play with, and I think we are going to have a good time. The first thing that I would consider in building a castle is the area and the scale of the castle. How big do you want to build it? How much time are you willing to invest in a project like this? As well as what area and location do you have to work with? Here is pretty close to our spawn location, so if something were unfortunate were to happen and we were to respawn back at our spawn point, it doesn't take us that long to get over here, just a few minutes. Also, I really like the plains biome. I think the plains biome are ideal to work with because I like the pastel greens and such, and it's relatively clear and natural terrain generation, so there's not much in the way of terraforming that we would have to do to get this to be a workable space, and I like that about this. And the next thing is how big and how much time do you want to spend in a project like this. I think I want to make this a really big castle. I want to kind of drag this out, and so I think filling this is probably not too big of a task for us. It's not going to be done in a week or even 2 weeks like some other YouTubers do. This isn't my full-time job, so there you have it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the perimeter. I'm going to start laying down towers that I want to like have watchtowers around, as well as like the inner walls of the castle. And so for that, I'm going to run over to our stash of Blackstone and grab as much as I can carry, basically. And I think we can get going on building a whole bunch of our castle, at least the foundations of it. And I'm not going to be too specific on the palette for this right now. I'm just going to be grabbing a whole bunch of blocks to start placing it and placing the foundations, just so we can have an idea of how this is going to look. So the first thing I want to do is I want to come over here to our landmarks that are already built. Of course, if you don't have any landmarks like this that are already built, then you don't have to worry about this step. But since we already have a couple of villages that I want to incorporate into our castle, I want to come over here to these and start marking out where we want to have these towers and such. And I'm thinking we want to have these villages like there should be a big wall going right here, and when you want to go into the castle, you can hail one of the guards on like a watchtower nearby, and they can raise the portcullis gates, and then you can go through into the castle and such. So I think that would be a kind of a good idea. And so I'm thinking maybe over in this direction we can build one of our first towers, maybe like right here on this little plot of land. We can build a tower which can open a gate over there and can also open a gate maybe over there, or maybe we'll even add 2 towers or something like that. Yeah, I think 2 towers might be a good idea. So right about here maybe we can start adding a tower. And these towers, I kind of wanted to make them look circular, and it's kind of hard to make circles in Minecraft, as you might already know. So I have been using a generator that gives you the amount of blocks and how to place the blocks in a circle for a tower and such. It is a software, it's a website called Pixel Circle or Oval Generator, and in there you can specify the diameter of the circle, and it will tell you how to place the blocks in that. So with this, we're gonna want 4 blocks long on this circle, and then 3 blocks like that, and then another 3 blocks just like that, and then another 4 blocks. So just like this, and then we're going to repeat this around 3 blocks here, and then 3 blocks here, and then 4 blocks, and then continue that, repeat that around. So nothing too special, but it does make a circle type shape. So you can see that is the shape we're going to be looking at for our watchtowers. And I think that looks pretty good. I mean, it's not a perfect circle because you can't really get a perfect circle in Minecraft, but it at least gives us something to work with. If we look at it from the air, you can see, yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, it's good enough, I'd say. And if you wanted, you could probably round off these edges by, instead of doing that, you could put a block in the center like this. And I probably will do that. So this will probably be one of the towers that is built for our to man the gates, as if you will, and the gate will probably be end up coming right along here. Like I said, this village will probably be remodeled. We might end up tearing these buildings down and rebuilding them other places. So the villages are not necessarily permanent, but they will serve as good landmarks for us to build these towers. So I think I'm going to build a few more of these towers around the perimeter of our castle, and then we can start plotting out the wall and how to connect all of these guys together. Perfect, just like that. And so that's kind of pretty much encompassing the entire hilltop. But like I said, we will probably make staircases and such so that this will be easier access. But I kind of like this tower that's so as somebody on top could just see everything as far as the eye can see. And last but not least, I think I want to make this a little bit symmetrical, because we have 2 watchtowers over here in between those villages. But we do not have 2 towers over on this side, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe we like the symmetry and such, so maybe we'll just go with how we've got it. Anyway, so now we want to first start marking out how the walls are going to connect with this this outer wall. And so I think I'm just going to draw a rough wall plan that's going to start on the inner side of these, so like the majority of the castle is protruding out the wall, and only a smaller will be protruding inside of the wall. And I think that will end up looking good. And I'm just going to make like a dotted line, like every other block will have a marker, so as to mark how the wall will go, the path that it will take. And I don't want to make this super square. I want to also make this kind of organic. So we're going to have it be turning, because I want this to be built as if it was built with the terrain, because that's kind of the feel that I want. You know, people who have been building these castles are not going to be building it with like they're not going to be tearing out thousands and thousands of tons of earth and of stone in order to build this. They're going to kind of build the castle along with the terrain that was already there when they first settled. So that's kind of how I want this to look. So now we can see how that goes over and connects to that tower over there, and how this goes over and connects to that tower that way. And I'm thinking this is looking pretty good. Let's get in the air really quick and just fly really high up in the air and look down and see how this is looking. That's looking pretty good. I'm liking that. This is a little straight to me. I think maybe we can bevel this out. I think that will look a little bit better. Oof. So maybe like right about here, we could take it and start beveling it out. And then also right over, we want to make this symmetrical, so maybe we'll count how many blocks that was out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. out from the wall, and then we started beveling it. So we'll come out 1 block, 2 block, 3 block, 4 block, 5 blocks, just like that. And that'll probably, well, maybe we'll go out a couple more. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, 10, 9, 8, 7, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks. We'll try 7 and then see how that bevel looks. All right, let's check out how this looks. That looks a bit better, that bevel. I like that. And this is all turning out really well. I think this is going to look good. So we crossed the river twice.
Ow, Charlie! Ah!
Over here, and then went over there. So the river kind of flows through. I think this is looking pretty good. So the next thing, now that we have our walls and our outer towers marked out, and we kind of have an idea of where we want to place gates and such in this castle, I think the next thing we should start planning out is the main attraction, you know, the main biggest building, the Great Hall. And I think I'm going to have the Great Hall kind of backed up against this mountain. Yeah, this little hill over here, and we're going to want to make this pretty spacious. So I'm thinking it'll probably be right here-ish, but I want to make sure that's also kind of even between the two, that wall and that wall over there. So yeah, I'm thinking right here will look like a pretty good middle ground. Let's check that out from above. Yeah, in between there, yeah, right here I think will be a pretty good spot. So, and I think this is going to double as the Great Hall / throne room / Wizards Guild / you know, all of those things that are all going to be in a same building that just is really large and has separated rooms and such. So I think first we're going to want to make this an odd numbered build. So this is going to be our center, and then maybe we'll come out 1, 2, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43 blocks out that way. And then this is going to end in a kind of a half dome shape. Yeah, I think that'll be decent enough. Yeah, I think that'll be okay. That'll look pretty good. And that'll still give us a decent enough courtyard that for us to work with in the front of this, because I think the dome is going to connect along the walls kind of like that, and so we'll have this big courtyard that we can play with. So I think that will look good. We can go ahead and build that. Okay, now that is looking good. We got this circle marked out here, and then we kind of put a dashed line through that, and that's just to represent that I'm thinking about separating this room in two, so that it can be like the Great Hall and the throne room area. And this is looking pretty good. Remember, this is just a schematic of how this might look in the fullness of time, but just to add a placeholder for this building. And I think having this building look pretty grand and big is going to be a good idea, because this is going to be like the main attraction of the building. So now there are some other buildings that I wanted to make, mainly being the like maybe an armory over here, maybe a barracks over there, and then I wanted to build a couple of buildings that are built onto and into the mountain, so that I can dig into and hollow out this mountain and use that as like a fortification, like another fortification on top of what we've already done. And then maybe we'll build a building or two back here as just beautification or something like that. but we will lay down those buildings shortly. I think first I want to go lay down the armory building and the barracks over here. I think I wanted to have this go right here so we can have just a decently sized building, maybe something like that length. It's just going to be a simple square, because this is not for the kings and the magistrates. This is going to be for the soldiers and the army men. So it's just something simple and relatively cheap, just thrown together so that the military has a place to operate out of. And that's a good sized building, I think. And then I kind of wanted to have some inner walls that connected from the barracks here to the tower, as well as connecting to the gate of the front part of the Great Hall as well. Have that be a feature that we also add, and that ended up working great. So we can have the wall coming out like this, and then the building then starts and then the wall finishes over there. So we can do this exact same thing on the other side, and then we will be in business. Alright, so we got those two things. Let's check it out from above. So it looks a little uneven, but I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. This is kind of built organically. I don't want it to necessarily completely be symmetric, or it might look a little too much, a little too planned out and such. So I think this is looking good. If it bothers me too much, I can change it before we finish laying out the foundations for our build here. So now that we have those two, the military buildings, the buildings that will mainly be housing our formal military and be guarding the main entrance to our castle, we can also start moving on to some other buildings that we might want to include that will be part of our storage system, that will be part of all the like industrial business type parts of the castle. So I'm thinking that will go somewhere over here. But yeah, so I'm going to lay down a few more building ideas, plots, and then once I have something that I think I'm going to run with, I will let you guys know, and you guys can see the final product now that you have seen a significant portion of how I plan out my builds and make them look. But I think this is turning out pretty well, so I will bring you guys back in once I have a few more ideas. Alright, welcome back folks, and as you might be able to tell, we've done a little bit more work around here. So I went ahead and I put in the outline of some structures that I think will be really good for us. Whoa! I think that was our first creeper sneak attack. Well, that was exciting. Anyway, we'll have to clean that up, but not to worry. I'm not too worried about those things right now. We will definitely take care of a lot of the terraforming in a future time when we're doing a bit more building and such. But if we take off into the air, you can see some of the things that we have done. I have put over an oval looking shape here, and I'm thinking that is going to be kind of like a coliseum place for like jousting tournaments and things that where they can take place. I also put here a square building that's kind of right up next to the wall, and I'm thinking this might be a good spot for a stables, so we can have like all of the king's horses and such in here, so that it'll be nice and close to the western gate, and I think this will be a good spot for stables area, especially because it's going to be close to this this Coliseum thing, as well as to some of our practice and training fields. Moving on over here, I have some blocks scattered around in a couple of misshapen boxes. I don't want them to be exactly square, you know, we kind of want to give it a little bit of character to it. But as you can see, maybe if we move our way up to the top, you can see a bit better. These are going to hopefully be the foundation or the startings of our residential area. So like maybe some of the palace servants or the castle servants, and some of the king's men and noblemen will live in some of these in these smaller residential buildings, so they will be living in the castle instead of off to the villages, so like some of the more important people. And I have a few more village buildings over on this side as well, and we'll probably continue that along this southernmost wall. I'm thinking that will probably be where the residential district will be made, and we want to of course leave a pathway for the soldiers and stuff to be able to make it up to this this tallest wall up here. Also off to the side of our great hall, I also put a little nook that I'm thinking is going to be like the kitchen, the kitchen area where all of the meals for the feasts are prepared and such. We might make that bigger in the fullness of time, but it doesn't need to be anything special. And then this big building right here is going to be our storage area. That's where I'm probably going to be spending most of my time, is in this building. It's going to have our main storage and sorting system, and it's going to house a couple of other technical things that are going to be necessary for a long-term base. And as you can see, I haven't put very much over in this spot yet, kind of because I'm thinking this river is going to be here, and that's where we're going to want to put some like nice scenic looking bridges across, and maybe a monument or a fountain or something like that, something that will make the castle look beautiful. I am looking forward to that. Anyway, I think this is pretty much it. This is at least the startings of our foundation for our castle. And this is honestly, I think, the hardest part of the castle. This is doing all the legwork and doing all the counting and the calculations to figure out how exactly we want to put this castle together. The next part is easy but grindy. It's going to just be a lot of hours of building up these walls and making them look nice. But I think that's all for today's episode. That's where we're going to leave it today. I hope you guys had a fantastic time, and I hope you guys found this enjoyable and insightful. And if you did, why don't you smash that like button and subscribe to my channel for some more content. My name has been ClickFlow, and I will see you guys next time. Bye for now.